Hello everyone, it's dragonplatinum here, and today we are back with another Plane Crazy video. Now today's video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do because today I'm going to talk about what I think Plane Crazy really needs as updates, because I was looking around recently and I received a lot of DMs also very recently about there being a new map coming out. Now, I don't know whether or not this is true, I can't confirm it, I've just received multiple pictures of it. I'll put one on screen right now for you guys to take a look at. I'm not 100% sure if it's real. From the research that I did, it looks like it's an old build of a map that they were going to implement, but they decided not to. Now, there's also been talk that the developers are looking for professional map builders, which I think is a smart thing. I think that the map overall needs some changes to it, and I think they need to add more to it. And so I'm making this video right now to maybe address some of the things I would like to see in a new map, or things that I would like to see as updates possibly. Now, the one thing that I would really like to see in a possible update to the map is I would love to see some more terrain for cars. Now, as we look across the map here, we can see that there obviously is a lot of area for things to drive around. There's places for tanks to drive around, there's places for just any kind of land vehicle to get around. However, there aren't really any roads, and I think that's something really strange, and something that they kind of missed out on when they were building this map, because there's been a lot of times that I've wanted to do stuff with cars. I know a lot of people have wanted me to do some car build battles, and do racing and stuff like that. However, the only problem with that is that there's not exactly anywhere to race right now. There is no racetracks, you have to build your own, and so honestly I think if they're going to do anything about that, if they're going to add in a new map piece, I suggest that they add in a racetrack, because I think that could be a lot of fun. It would be something new because we don't have one just yet, and I think it would be heavily used, not just by obviously myself, but a lot of people build race cars or cars in general, and I think it'd be fun to actually have some actual racing be able to happen and not just driving over rocky terrain and stuff. Like, the flattest terrain that we really have is over here, and even then it's not terribly great. So yeah, I would like to see maybe some sort of racetrack, road, anything, because cars I feel are one of the things that get, at least map-wise, they get the least amount of love, especially race cars. But yeah, if they make a new map, I would love to see a racetrack, because that would be a lot of fun. Another thing I would love to see is maybe some sort of space or moon area that we could access. If they are going to update the map, they might as well add more to it, and if they could add maybe an area for the moon to exist, I think that could be really cool. It could allow people who do roleplay on the game, they could do stuff with lunar landing and all sorts of stuff like that. Now, we do have this area over here, which I mean, I guess you could use as your kind of moon base, but let's be real, that's not the moon. We want somewhere high up in the sky where you gotta take up your rocket and then drop off a lunar lander. And honestly, I think that could be really cool. It would make builds a little bit more difficult, because they would have to, have different stages or something like that to get up there, detach, or I mean, I guess planes could fly up there if they wanted to, but I think it'd be kind of awesome to be able to, send something up to the moon, put it on the moon, and then drive around on this moon terrain, and just kind of hang it up there, because that could be just another thing that I think would be a lot of fun, and wouldn't be terribly hard to implement. All you have to do is really put in just some terrain, and call it a day. Another thing I think that we need is some more airports. Now, I do love the one airport that we have. I think it works well, and it is pretty cool. However, there are some planes that I've seen that do not fit that airport at all, and I think if we got a bigger airport that could be a little bit nicer, instead of having people have to launch off from the base plates, because yeah, they take up a lot of room. They get interfered with by a lot of other people's builds. So I think if we got bigger airports, that could be probably a huge bonus to a lot of the people who build a lot bigger stuff, and just overall would be a general improvement on not, smashing into other people while you're trying to take off. Another thing I think we could really use is a much bigger ocean. Now, on the image that I showed earlier, they look like they are taking that idea to heart and they want to make a bigger ocean, because yeah, the one problem is that this really doesn't feel like enough space, especially for some of the bigger ships. They really don't have a lot of area to move around in, which I think is unfortunate, because when they put in all that work, they can't really do a whole lot with it, and it's kind of sad to see sometimes. So I would like to see a much bigger ocean, possibly infinite. I don't really know too much about terrain generation, but they probably couldn't do it infinitely, but to be like realistic, but like at least much bigger. It shouldn't be too much of a chore just to extend out the ocean for a long time, so that people won't have to worry about, you know, falling off the edge. Next up is something that I actually don't have a huge problem with, but I think would be a nice kind of quality of life update, and that would be with the color picker. Now I think if they added in like a much more advanced kind of color wheel color picker, where you can adjust like the brightness, you can see all the colors right in front of you, you can pick out directly from there, and you don't have to manually put in the numbers to get the colors that you want, I think could be like a nice thing to have, instead of having to go through and, you know, like just kind of guess and pick, or having to open up another application to pick the color out that you want to use, and then putting the color numbers into this to get that color. I think it would just be something. I don't know a whole lot about coding, so I'm not going to stand on this box and say, yeah, I know that this will work and that this will work, but I think it would be something nice to add, just because it would be a lot easier for people who do work with like kind of advanced coloring and like all that sort of stuff. They want something easier to pick from, especially if they're doing like a kind of like a gradient on a plain body. Like if they want to go from black to white, but they want a slow transition, it's much easier to use something like a color picker, where you can just kind of manually adjust the brightness than having to input the color every single time into a number color picker. So you have to type in every single time. I think that would just be something, I don't know, I don't want to say easy because I'm not totally sure. I've seen it in other Roblox games, so I know it's possible, but I think it'd be something nice. I think it'd be like a nice kind of quality of life update. Next thing I wanted to talk about is the rail system. Now I actually don't have a huge problem with the rail system. I think it works well. I think the new train wheels work well enough, and I think people are able to quite competently make trains, so I don't have too much of a problem with the whole rail system that we got here. I think the only thing that I would want out of it is maybe to make the buttons for changing the track, so like to adjust which way the track will go, maybe make them a little bit easier to click, make them bigger so that they have like a much bigger hitbox or like click box, and you can click them from farther away, just because I had to get out of the train multiple times to kind of fix up my track. So let's say that I didn't want to go this way, you know, it's kind of hard to hit while you're on the fly. If it was like on like a post or something like that with like a big red sign or a big green sign, I think it'd be easier to click, and honestly a little bit nicer to use overall. But assuming that they do actually go through and make a whole new map, I would love to see the track go all throughout the map, just kind of like how this one does. This one doesn't go, you know, too far throughout the whole map, but it's kind of cool to be able to like travel throughout the whole map with your train, and I think that that should be something that they should add. It'll be kind of difficult because obviously laying the track is not exactly a fun time, especially doing the curves, but if they make their own kind of kit to do it, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. And I think it could be a lot of fun just to be able to actually traverse a much bigger map with a train and not have to worry about getting derailed by accident. Now this one I'm going to talk about a little bit. I don't think that it's overall extremely necessary, because obviously with motor lock you can kind of make your own wedges in an instance, but I do think that adding more wedges could make the game a little bit more friendly to newer players. Obviously it'll give people more options, and even for people who are more experienced, there's nothing wrong with getting an extra wedge, because there's been many situations where I'm like, I could use an extra wedge here, but you know what, there isn't one. I could motor lock it, but you know, whatever. I'm just gonna ignore it for now. And I think that it would be much nicer if you could just add in some more wedges, maybe definitely some more half wedges, because there's been a ton of times where I'm like, I need a half wedge, doesn't exist, this is a problem. Now the reason I'm kind of tacking this one near the end is because I think that more wedges would be much nicer to have, and it would be like a nice thing to be able to use, but honestly I would much rather that developers focus on map and like making the map bigger, because I think it's a little bit too small the way it is. I mean, it looks huge from here, but once you're actually traveling around, it is kind of small. So I think they should focus on the map first if they're actually working on it, and then go back and like touch up like the color picker, the wedges, like all those little things I think are just kind of nitpicks and things I would love to see. But I think the map is the biggest change that I want, and I think that is necessary for the game to keep being interesting, because you can build 1,000 things 1,000 different ways, but if you can only test it a certain amount of ways, like using the mountain in the back there, using that tall mountain in the back left, like you get bored after a while, and I would like to see just more variety in the map, just like different obstacles, maybe an obstacle course, that could be really cool, just lots of different things, racetracks, anything. It would just be more interesting, it would keep people coming back, making new things, and I think it could be just a lot of fun. Now this one is just kind of a formality because obviously everybody wants more save slots. I think it's ridiculous if you don't. We got a ton more save data in the latest update. Like, we got so much save data that unless you're building like huge builds for every single one of your slots, you're gonna need some more slots to work with. Now, I honestly wouldn't mind if this was like a paid feature. It would be not my favorite thing, obviously, because obviously free is better, but if they wanted to charge like maybe like a couple Robux, like maybe like 50 Robux for 10, 20 more slots, I think that'd be acceptable. And honestly, I'd be totally down to pay that because the amount of slots we get I think is really good, but we have so much more save data now that we can work with that more slots honestly wouldn't be a problem. And honestly, the final thing that I wanted to maybe mention for a potential update is more tutorials. I think that it's great that people go out and they search to learn more about the game. I think that's an awesome thing. Obviously, it helps YouTubers like myself, but I think more in-game explanations as to what things can potentially do, such as motor locking, would be a huge benefit to this game because there is a lot of people out there who don't know the basics of motor locking. I didn't know for a long time until I was taught by somebody else, and I think it'd be much nicer if people don't have to go out to search for information that should probably be included with the game. Now, obviously there probably won't be a lot of people, more experienced members of the community probably won't like me saying this, but I do think that the game needs to be a little bit more casual friendly to get people interested, to keep them coming back. If you get people who are casual and they like the game, they learn more about it, they'll obviously stay with it for a long enough time to become pros just like other people. They may not be as, you know, hardcore, but they're learning something, they're having fun, and I think just simple tutorials such as teaching lock motors could really do wonders, and I think it'd be something awesome to see. Now, I honestly don't think that this one will be implemented anytime soon, and it'll probably be something that people will have to figure out for a long time on their own or through YouTube videos, but I do think that it'd be something nice to see, just more tutorials, more explanations, and just to appeal to people who do not know as much about the game or who are new, because I think the game is definitely a difficult game to get into to begin with, but once you know what you're doing, it's a lot of fun, and I don't want to leave anybody behind. I think I want to see everybody have a good time, and even people who are just playing it for their first time, I think should at least have similar knowledge to those who are playing for a long time. But anyways guys, that's really all I've got for this video today. What do you guys want to see in a potential Plain Crazy update? I think I just threw out some things that had been on my mind for a long time. Obviously a map change would be amazing. I would love a map change because this map has gotten stale, it's a little bit small, and I know that they are actively looking for map builders, so that is a good sign that we will see a map someday. I'm not going to put a definite date on it because I don't think anybody knows but the developers. But I would like to see a new map. I think that could be a lot of fun, especially if they add in a ton of new areas to work with, racetracks, all kinds of things. It could be a blast. And honestly, if they do the map update well enough, I think it could just breathe new life into the game, and it could make so many more builds not possible, but more fun to create. So yeah, what do you think? What would you like to see added to Plain Crazy? Obviously this is not a direct message to developers, they don't have to pay me any mind. This is just stuff that I think would be kind of cool to add. If they are watching this, which I don't know whether or not they do, these are the things that I would love to see them make, and maybe you guys would like to see it too. Now, if I were to choose the ones I would like to see the most, is probably the color wheel, because I do enjoy painting my builds and making them look nice, and when I was making the creeper, manually inputting stuff was a pain and it was not fun, so I think a color wheel could make things a little bit simpler, especially for a project like that. Now, another thing I would really like to see is obviously some more tutorials, because I'm all about getting more people in, getting more people learning, getting more people playing, and I think that could be more fun if more people know what they're doing. But yeah guys, let me know down in the comments below what you would like to see in a possible Plain Crazy update. Maybe you want to see a bigger map, maybe you want more tutorials, hey, maybe you want more wedges, that is totally understandable. Let me know down in the comments below, I'll be reading all your comments. I haven't been able to respond to comments for a while because I used to respond to every single comment, and then now videos get like 50 to 100 comments, and it gets kind of difficult to come up with a response for everybody. So I just kind of read them, and I put them into action in videos, suggestions, all that kind of stuff. I am paying attention, I am keeping an eye out, and I do know what you guys are saying, so don't worry about that. But yeah, let me know. What would you like to see? What would you like to see in a possible Plain Crazy update? But anyways guys, that's really all I've got for this video. So hey, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, we are almost at 15,000 subscribers on the channel. We're getting super close, so I think like 70% of the people watching this video are probably not subscribed according to my YouTube analytics. So hey, go down there, click subscribe, it's free. You can always unsubscribe later if you are no longer interested in my content, and it really helps me out. Other than that guys, that's really all I've got for this video. So hey, as always, it's Dragon Platinum, signing out. Peace out, guys. Bye.